Hey everybody, I'm Shawna and welcome back to my channel, Shawna MissyMe HD, where I strive to help you reach your educational goals by helping you gain admission into health-related undergrad and graduate programs. And today you guys are in for a treat because I am collaborating with Miss Monique. She is a current medical student and we are going to be sharing with you guys our top 5 major keys to medical school and residency.
Don't get me started.
If you're new to my channel, you guys already know what to do. Go ahead and press the subscribe button and make sure you hit the notification bell so that you're the first to know when I release the next video. So let's get right into it.
Hey Shawna, what's going on?
Hey girl, how are you?
I'm good. I'm so excited to finally be doing this collaboration.
Me too. It took forever, but we are here and that's all that matters.
We made it. It's fine. We're going to work on our time management, like one of the tips we're going to talk about today. But I'm going to have you just introduce yourself for the viewers.
Of course. Hey guys, I'm Shonna MissyMe and I am a second year resident, currently completing my anesthesiology residency.
All right, cool. And you guys know me. Monique. I am my second year of medical school, military medical school. So I'm in the Air Force. So that's a fun time altogether. But we're going to be talking to you guys about the major keys that we learned with us in medical school and residency. So Shawna, what are your top 5 things that you think helped you out?
So I think my top 5 things were obviously time management, of course, and then figuring out what the best study habits and techniques were for myself. Also, learning how to separate work life or school life and then your social life and incorporating enough self-care to be able to handle all the madness, as well as, I forgot. As well as having the right mindset as far as competition, because a lot of times we tend to compete with each other when really the competition lies within ourselves, and we'll talk about that a little later. And then also knowing that medicine is not everything. How about you?
So we overlap on the time management. I'm big on the self-care. Like, I don't study on weekends. Friday afternoon to Sunday is my time. So sorry to the end. I would say also the mindset, knowing your why, like what's your end goal for doing medicine, that helps me push towards everything. And I forgot my other one too. Oh, celebrating the little victories. So just being able to say, all right, I finished this today. It's okay, I'm gonna have ice cream. So just these little things help me out.
Yeah. Yes, I definitely agree, and I want us to just kind of talk a little more about each one, and I'm gonna try my best not to really talk about my med school years, even though like it tends to come up all the time, and try to keep it relevant to residency. But there is so much. I just want to say before we begin, there's so much overlap between the two. As far as med school is more of the textbook knowledge and learning how to identify diseases and starting to develop your management plan and things like that, where residency is more of a hands-on thing, but at the same time they're still very demanding. Both are demanding and both require a lot of attention, focus, time, sacrifice, dedication, all those things. And so I think what you guys will find is that there is a ton of overlap between the two, in that even though you're in medical school, you may be a 4th year about to graduate, you're gonna be on your way to residency. Trust me, the madness does not end. You do not stop learning, and you're just as busy as you were before. So a lot of this stuff is definitely applicable to anyone who's a pre-med right now, if you're currently in med school, or even if you're on your way to residency.
And I'm sure it doesn't stop if you're like us, who do 1,000 things in addition to just
Exactly. Exactly.
So I think
so as far as time management, what was the biggest thing for you? Like what was happening in med school or in your first year that made you realize you needed to kind of restructure things and get a better hold of your time management?
The biggest thing was honestly COVID. So with my school, we transitioned to distance learning, and I was used to having like a schedule of like, okay, I go into school at 7:30 in the morning. I'm gonna bang everything out by 2 o'clock, and once I go home, I don't do anything. But distance learning, I would wake up. I'm like, all right, I could sleep till 10. I'm gonna take an hour break to watch this show. And then it was just madness. And so I realized I was like, I need to make a schedule because if not, nothing's gonna get done. That was my biggest thing. I've always been a planner lover though, but this is different. What about you?
I'm glad you said that because I want to just emphasize that, like, even if you're a person who is a planner lover or you love schedules and you stick to calendars and dates and stuff like that, this is still hard because I'm very particular like that as well, and I like to know times and dates, and I don't like to miss deadlines. It is very hard. So I just would piggyback off of what you're saying. Now, for me, COVID was a little different. COVID actually gave me some relief, believe it or not. Because so much kind of happened with the hospitals and they cut back on surgeries and people weren't coming as much, so we weren't as busy. It's definitely picked back up by now, but we weren't as busy. But for me, I think that transitioning from med school to residency is it's a transition in itself, obviously, because you're doing a lot less studying and a lot more working, and you still have to study. So if that makes sense. So in med school, where 90% of your education comes from a textbook and whatever little bit you learn on your rotations, in residency, 90% of your education comes from your hands-on, and you still have to fit that extra time in to study and learn things that are going to be tested, but that you may not necessarily see in practice. And I think that transition right there was pretty tough. And for anesthesia specifically, you typically have like a month called boot camp month or whatever. It's usually July, the first month of every academic year, where you learn so much information about anesthesia, because eventually you have to be on your own in the OR with patients, right? So you have to know what you're doing. And it's literally lecture after lecture after lecture after lecture after lecture, and it's so much. And I literally have not posted a YouTube video in 2 weeks, maybe 3. I have not posted a TikTok in like almost 2 weeks, and I haven't even responded to my Instagram messages to, you know, the followers who message me all the time, because I've just been that busy. And so I honestly haven't got a hold on my time management right now as an anesthesia resident. I think as an intern, when I was on the internal medicine floors, it was a little different because things are a lot more slower paced. Plus, I was an intern. The attendings knew that I wasn't going to be there next year. It's not that I just had to learn every freaking study for diabetes and hypertension. But it's different with anesthesia because this is what I'm going to be doing, right? And I have to know it all. You know, I have to know as much as I can know for the exams, for patient safety, for myself, so I don't look like an idiot, right? And I have not figured it out yet. Basically, what I've just shut off social media. I haven't worked out in the last month or so. I may go like once or twice a week, but that's nothing compared to what I usually do. And I'm literally still figuring it out.
I think it's harder, especially for you, because like as a med student, at least with my school, we have like a 6-week schedule. So it's like I know exactly what I'm going to be doing for the next 8 weeks, so I can plan accordingly. And yes, a few things in there, but for the most part, I can make a plan. But with you, it's like
oh my gosh. So speaking of planning accordingly and knowing what to expect and having a schedule that holds you accountable, SelfStudy is huge in residency. Like we don't have exams every 4 to 6 weeks to make sure we're keeping up with our studying. Like the last exam I took was step 3, which is back in December of 2019. I don't take another exam that means anything until February of 2021. So you talk about a whole year of no type of, you know what I mean? Like there's no exam, there's no tests, there's no quizzes, no one asking me anything. Like it is so important that in residency that you still continue to study, even though you feel like you don't have to. You feel like you have time. You feel like, oh, I can put it off to this. I can put. So self-discipline and self-motivation is huge. And again, like, you have a set schedule of what you need to cover for an exam, and I'm finding myself having to create my own, because if I don't, I'll get to like December, right, and I have 2 or 3 months left to cover a 2,000 page textbook. So that is how that's how self-studying, and you know what, and going through med school and kind of learning my learning styles helps me now to be able to hold myself accountable and do that, knowing that I'm a morning studier, knowing that I do better by creating review sheets, I do better by creating Quizlets, I do better by drawing pictures and labeling. Like, that's better for me. So knowing my learning styles, knowing that I'm on, like, my education and my knowledge depends on me, I'm able to take my previous habits and then just kind of putting my big girl panties on and growing up, and just putting those two things together to help myself slowly get to where I need to be by the time my boys come around. So I think that's another huge difference between med school and the residency, but there's an overlap because obviously you still have to study and keep up with your knowledge and things, but there's nothing there to say, hey, you need to study this week because next week there's a test. Like, I can easily say, I ain't doing nothing. I'm on YouTube all week. I ain't studying nothing, right? But I just be shooting myself in the foot. But it's so easy to do that, and if you don't like stay disciplined anyway. What are you doing?
Next week, I'm still like, yeah, it's okay. I have a few days left. But I think what you said is so important, though, about like knowing your study style. So I have learned via COVID, once again, like, I cannot study at home. I'm allergic to it. Like, I am too close to the fridge, and every 30 minutes I'm trying to eat something, or I'm ordering something, or I'm like, oh, let me take this hour-long commercial break where I watch Netflix. Let me mop the floor. Like, let me do anything else besides study. And it's like, wow, I find myself, I have to go to a coffee shop. Like, it costs me a few dollars. But when I go there, I'm so productive for like a good 6 hours. And then once I go home, I'm like, okay, I can just
relax.
Right. Them 3 months, like March to June, were just so difficult. I was like dumb, and then I would find myself being like, wow, I'm slacking right now. And another thing with that is knowing like how you need to learn. So like you were talking about drawing, writing things out, and making Quizlets. Like for me, I know I need to do questions. Like, I found for me, like when I study, I'll read the textbook and I'm like, okay, good, got it. This is how the patient is gonna act. Perfect. And then I read a question, I'm just like, what?
Yeah, right. Because we only scratched the surface.
So for me, I need like the question to be like, okay, this person's coming in with these symptoms. Okay, let me drag this and relate this to that to understand it. So, and then some people need flashcards, some people need different things. That is so true. Your learning style, how you study, where you study, when you study,
when you study, how long you study, because I get a lot of questions from my followers who say, hey, I'm taking an MCAT in 2022. What book should I start looking at? I'm just like, look, yeah, how long you study matters too.
You said how long? 22? Is that not 2 years from now?
I have some followers who like want to start studying. I'm just like, it would be a waste of time. Because it needs to be relevant studying as well. And if you're not going to use it soon, you're not going to remember it. So it's going to be a waste of time. But that's so funny. And I like the point that you brought up when you said, oh, you felt like freedom and you feel like a slacker. I think it's very important to be able to separate, or at least be able to give yourself that time to just say, you know what, I've done enough for today. It's time to just take a breather. Because self-care and, whatever you do to relieve stress is super important. And a lot of times you'll feel guilty. You will feel guilty for not studying. You'll feel guilty for not, pre-reading the next chapter or doing questions that you know you need to do. Instead, you go out with friends, you go out to eat, you sleep, whatever you do, like you will feel guilty. But sometimes you just have to give yourself that grace and say, you know what, this is for my, self-care. Like, I need this to be able to wake up tomorrow. I need this to keep from crying tonight. And I don't know if it got that tough for you, but there are days where I literally just cried because I felt out of control. I felt like I couldn't do what I wanted to do. Studying wasn't going well, you know what I mean? And you have to be able to recognize when you hit that wall, or you're close to hitting that wall. If you can recognize it before you hit it, that's even better. But some people, and I'm one of them, I'm guilty of it. I hit a wall all the time and then everything stops. Prime example, my YouTube, my TikTok, my Instagram, studying, working out, everything just stops. And I just literally was coming home after work and just watching TV and eating ice cream every single day for a week and a half, So I think self-care is super important. What about you?
No, I'm here with you on that because I have this thing where if I'm not getting something or if I get upset, I just shut down. I need to work on that. My bounce back needs to be better, but it's I'll just be so unproductive. And I think one thing that I'm learning is that that's okay. There are going to be days where you just don't do anything. You just don't, you just can't. And it's okay, because if you're not in the mindset to learn, it's
pointless
going out. It doesn't matter anyway. So I know for me, I try to do a face mask, even that, when we say self-care, I feel like a lot of people think it means booking a Bora Bora ticket to the Maldives or whatever and doing the most. It's me doing a face mask is my idea of self-care sometimes. Me going to brunch is a self-care, just little things.
And I know it can sound so depressing, and sometimes it feels that way, and hell, it may even get that way. I know some people who was on antidepressants in med school or whatever, and it is what it is. But I think what helped me, and you chime in too, is understanding where the real fight and the real struggle is. And if you know what you're looking for, what your prize is at the end of the day, you find a way to just make it through through those hard times. And I know for me, one of the key things for me was realizing and understanding and accepting the fact that I was my biggest enemy. If I did not wake up saying, hey, today is a new day, shake it off, today is a day that you're gonna get through what you said you wanted to get through, you can do this, get your shit together, edit that out, get your crap together, I literally had to give myself pep talks because, it got like that for me. It gets like that for me still, and I think that just kind of having that prize, keeping your eyes on a prize, and just knowing that at the end of the day, this will end one day. It kind of helps you get through that. How about you?
Maybe 30 years from now it'll end.
Well, at least when you get a paycheck and it's worth it, right?
Sometimes I'll be like, wow, how many years do I have left? Yeah. But as you said, one of my ways to get through that is celebrating the little wins. Literally, a little win for me is I have multiple, when we talked about time management, I have multiple planners. So I have a big calendar. I have the planner on my calendar because I like to write things out. I have the calendar on my phone. I have 3 different synced calendars. And then I have a written to-do list every day. And if I can cross off 2 things on my to-do list, I feel so I'm the person who, if I did something that wasn't on my to-do list, I'll go write it so I can cross it off. That
just to feel accomplished.
That gives me great joy. So it was just celebrating those little wins. Okay, you finished a flashcard today. All right, cool. You did just the smallest of things, saying, all right, I did this. Instead of looking at it as, there's a quote that I love that is, your perspective can be your passport or your prison. So it was let me pause for a second because I know some people process that one. But it's if I'm looking at it I have so much to do as opposed to look at what I've already done, it could be really discouraging and really depressing, as you said. And I know for me, I found myself like in a really negative headspace at first. I was just like, I can't do this. I'm just seeing everything that needs to be done, this hill that I have to climb. And it's like, girl, you just learned about the heart in 2 weeks. Like, come on, get it together.
Yeah.
You're okay. You're okay.
Yeah. Right.
I agree with you.
For sure, for sure. And like, I think that for the viewers, you know, if you're a pre-med or, you know, about to go into med school, like, this is not to like scare you. We just want to be honest and like upfront with you, because you may face some of these same issues, and if nothing else, it feels good to know that you're not alone. Like, everybody goes through this, and everybody, you know, finds different ways to handle it or whatever. But at the end of the day, you are smart, you are strong. I'm smart.
You're beautiful.
Yeah. But at the end of the day, like, you made it, and you made it for a reason. There's purpose behind all of that. So just stay encouraged. And it definitely like brings me to another point about, for me at least, it was important for me to incorporate the rest of my life during my med school journey and my residency journey. And I don't know if you guys know, if you're not following me or whatever, then yeah, I had a baby during med school. I also met my boyfriend, who is now fiance, during med school, and I continue to volunteer and teach praise dance at church. And now that I'm in residency, as you see, I'm a YouTuber, trying to build my audience and, you know, becoming a pre-med influencer, and I'm starting a nonprofit. It's so much crap that I'm doing that I really shouldn't be doing, but I'm doing it anyway because God has placed it on my heart. And I've always felt like if he was gonna movie recording and stuff, God damn it. Anyway, I've always felt like, you know, if he put it in my path to do it, or if he brought the opportunity to me, like, always take advantage of it. And I don't like when people feel like they have to stop life because of med school or because of residency or nursing school or pharmacy school, whatever it may be. Like, there is life beyond medicine. And what you don't want to do is get to the end of your educational journey and then realize that you've closed off everybody, you know, along the way, and you have no one to celebrate with, or there's no one there to really appreciate your journey because you shut them off. Mm-hmm. Or, you know what I mean? Or just say, hey, you know, I met somebody who did this and did that. I wish I would have did it 5 years ago. Like, I wish I would have started this process as a pre-med, low-key. Like, I'm doing it as a resident, and it is what it is, but I should have did this like a long time ago. But I just want to encourage you guys that, you know, even though we talk about how time consuming it is and how much you have to sacrifice and how much you have to be dedicated, you still have to live your life. Because after medicine is over, when you come home from work, you come home from med school, what do you have left? And you have to continue to water those seeds as well.
No, I agree with you so much, because while I didn't, you know, get engaged and have a child, I didn't do all that, you know. But like, one of the biggest things, and I find this so funny. So my followers know I like to go on vacation. Like, I have a vacation fund. Like, I don't play. And I remember, so in med school, you still have spring break, not so much in residency, like, but you still have spring break. You still have, don't tell them that. But you have winter break, so you have like this much time off. I remember I was talking to my friend before we went on spring break, and I was like, where are you going? And they were like, no, we're just going home. And I'm like, oh no, you need to go someplace. Like, go to Mexico, I think I went to New Orleans. Go somewhere. And it was just so funny because they decided to go. And as soon as we came back, COVID hit. And they were like, yo, thank you so much for telling me to go someplace. So upset. So that's just to say, like, you can still travel, by the way. But also, like, don't put your life on hold. Like, do things that you like to do. It's one of those things where you have to, one of the things what I heard was, it's not a work-life balance. It's like a seesaw. Like, some days it's this, some days it's...
Oh my God. I've never heard that, but that is probably the perfect way to explain it because it's never going to be like this 50-50, 60-40. There's no consistency with this journey unless you're just like super antisocial and able to 100% focus, you know, on school and medicine or whatever. But other than that, no, it is exactly what she said, a seesaw. And some days I'm like, study. Ooh, I'm getting it. Yay, questions right, blah, blah, blah. And some days I'm just like, I want fajitas. What time you gonna be home? Like, let's go out. Let's go have fun.
Right.
And then some days it's just like, I don't want to do
Nothing.
like, I'm done. Today is over. It's really bad when you have a day where the day is over at like 10 a.m. Those days suck. But they happen. Like, it's real. Like, it happens. But
yeah, I'm so weak because you said 10 a.m. I was fully expecting to say like 2. You said
I know.
yeah, I always say like that's a
2 p.m. That's good. If I get from 6 to 2 p.m. without somebody pissing me off or without feeling tired or needing my third or fourth coffee for the day, that's a good day. So as you guys see, a lot of things that I talk about as a resident and Monique talks about as a medical student, they really do overlap. Most of it that you learn in medical school, you will still apply in residency. These are just tips that we felt like was beneficial to us and helped us get through our journey. If you have any comments, questions, you know what to do, leave them below. As always, thank you guys so much. Y'all have a great day.